Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today I have another episode brought to you guys by Blade Ops. Be sure to look them up for all things sharp, and be sure to click that link in the description of this video, hop on over, and check out their entire selection of EDC knives and gear. Now, the knife I have for you guys today is a Cold Steel, as you saw in the thumbnail, and it is an absolute monster. I feel like the Jaws soundtrack should be playing because it is a massive knife, more of a sword, but what we have here is the Cold Steel Talwar, and the reason I still have it in the box is because there's something fun about taking a Cold Steel of this size out of their box, because, you know, usually when you get a lot of knives anymore, they come in like, you know, bigger packaging. You know, there's protection around the knife. So it's like a lot thicker. There's a lot more space inside the box than just the knife. And in Cold Steel boxes, that's not the case. It's pretty much just the knife packed into the smallest box as possible, probably for, you know, saving on shipping and whatnot and reducing costs there. But yeah, you take this knife out of the box, and I literally, I was laughing when I first pulled this thing out of the box because, you know, the box isn't really that big. It's long, but it's not thick or super wide. And then you end up with this sword. I mean, this absolute sword here that is just huge. I mean, it's stinking huge. And it is so stinking awesome. This knife made the teenage Wayne want it. And so I had to get it on the show. I had to get a review into this because I've wanted to handle this for quite a while. Ever since I saw they were bringing it back. This was a model that Cold Steel had ran in the past, but it's been a while since they've made them again. And they brought them back after Cold Steel was bought. Someone bought Cold Steel from Lynn Thompson. I can't remember the actual name of the company that owns it now, but they bought Cold Steel from Lynn Thompson. They're bringing back some models, and this was one of them. And I thought, you know what? Let's get this on. Let's take a look at it. And I'm really glad I did because it is a very interesting knife. Definitely not for everyone. But it's something worth taking a deeper look at. And when we get into the overall specs here, what we have is we have an overall length of 12.75 inches. Yes, we have over a foot worth of a knife here that barely fits in the screen. I had to move the valet tray because this is pretty much, that's on the table, just sitting there on the table, and it's already almost going from corner to corner diagonally on the screen. So gonna have to stay a little close to the mat here today. But yeah, overall length of 12.75 inches, a blade length coming in at 5.25 inches, and a blade thickness of 150 thousandths, which actually doesn't look that thick on this knife because it's so big, but it is a nice thickness for a blade this size, and it comes down to an okay edge. We'll get to that here in just a second. But what we have is a blade material of CPM S35 VN, so some nice quality steel on this massive blade. We have a trailing point style blade, a flat grind, and a handle length coming in at 7.25 inches with a handle thickness of 530 thousandths. Now, normally 530 thousandths feels really good to me, and it still feels good on this handle, but it feels actually it feels thin because it's such a big handle, and it is a rather narrow handle as well. Handle material on this guy is G10, and it's your typical Cold Steel G10, so I think you know what you're getting into there. Nice, good traction and grippiness on it. We have a triad lock with a user of a right or left hand, tip-up carry, and weight coming in at 8.15 ounces, which, you know, for this knife, it doesn't really feel like 8.15 ounces. I feel like I'm saying that more and more now, but it just doesn't. Like the Cold Steel Formax Scout, that felt like its weight. Like it felt heavier. This doesn't really feel super bad. Normal price on this guy is $246.49, but I believe as of right now it's on sale for $199.99. So be sure to click that link and make sure it's still on sale. But for $199.99, pretty darn good deal. I don't know how good that sale will go till, so don't hold me to it. But at the time I'm recording this, at least, it was $199.99. Normal price is $246.49. But also keep in mind, too, Blade Ops is very good at honoring prices of other retailers, too. So if it is on sale for $199 somewhere else from a credible retailer like Blade HQ or Knife Center or DLT, whatever, they would honor a price like that as long as it's not like astronomically crazy and just doesn't make sense. So always keep that in mind. Now, let's take a look at some size comparisons here. And the size comparisons aren't going to be very good. They're going to be kind of funny. But let's see. Let's try and there. I guess that's about as even as we can get. My two other biggest knives that aren't Cold Steels, the Demco knives, 80/20. This is not the 20.5. This is the 80/20. This is the bigger, thicker, $425 boy. And, yeah. Let's, and here, the Microtech SOCOM Elite. Another pretty damn big knife. Yeah. Yep. There you go. There's your size comparisons. Hope they did something for you other than make you laugh, but this is just an absolute pocket sword. There's just no way around it. Massive pocket sword with a blade that is definitely made to cut all sorts of things. We have an edge reading coming in at 31 thousandths, so you know this knife is not meant to be a slicer, though. I mean, it's meant to be an efficient defensive cutter. Let's be real. That's what it's meant to be, and that's what it is. Yeah, it's just an absolute sword of a knife. Definitely more of a defender than an EDC knife, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't want to get into too much details there because, you know, things and rules and all that. So, but yeah, definitely more of a tactical self-defense style knife. And that's what this blade shows. And that's, you know, you have this deployment tab out here that I think could probably work pretty well for kind of working as the Emerson release if you pull it out and it catches your pocket. A knife this big, though, I don't know. I mean, you could definitely do that. You definitely wouldn't want to be wearing, you'd want to be wearing some substantial pants, though, because otherwise you'll tear your pocket apart. But this does work really good in the action department for something else that we'll get to later on in the review. But that's really the blade. I mean, it's just a lot of it's a lot of sharp belly, and you can put it to use for however you want. Now, the handle and ergos, that's where things get pretty good because the ergos really do feel good in like 5 different positions. Feels really, really good right here. Feels pretty darn great right here as well. But then, of course, you're getting right up there by the blade. But at the same time, you have this area back here to really pull back on. So you could easily, I mean, you could easily use this knife in this position safely and enjoy it as you do it. And in all honesty, it also feels very good like this. But yeah, I actually do. If you're ever going to like really EDC this knife, this is it. It does feel really good in this position. But then after this grip, you have kind of like this middle grip right here, which could be used if you need to just extend out a little more. And then if you wanted to like go cut down a sapling out back, you could really grab at the end and hack it and do whatever, and also do your other swing defensive moves and whatnot. But all sorts of different positions. And then of course you also have like this reverse grip that it works pretty darn well. You have a lot of room to put your thumb back here. So yeah, this knife definitely has a lot of grip positions. And they all feel pretty good. There's really no hot spots. You know, you get back here, even the clip, I thought this was going to be weird with the clip being so close to the end of the handle. I thought that could have potentially been a hot spot, but there wasn't. So all in all, it feels pretty good. But this clip, Cold Steel has got to do something about the pocket clip strength. I mean, this is just, it's crazy strong clip strength. You're definitely going to want to sand that contact point where the clip touches the handle. You absolutely are going to want to do that, or you'll wear your pockets down and probably wear a hole in them as you pull it in and out of the pocket if you carry this a lot. So not a great pocket clip, but Cold Steel has never really had a reputation for having good pocket clips. I mean, let's be real. But they do have a reputation for making just badass looking knives like this. And that's pretty much what you have. Going into the action of this guy, I would never try closing this with one hand. This is just not a one-hand closing knife. Very typical Cold Steel action. It is pretty nice for the slow roll, though, and actually, when you get it in hand, it's pretty easy. Like, just the location of this tab up here and just the overall distance you have to travel with your thumb makes it pretty easy to just pull it out and roll it out. So pretty easy to slow roll out for such a big knife. I was a little impressed by that. I wasn't sure if this was going to be kind of okay to open, a pain in the ass to open, or enjoyable to open. And I would definitely veer towards the enjoyable side for blade deployment. It's just not one that you're going to want to to fidget with. Like, I would never, I had a couple Cold Steels where I could like reverse flick it and just, kick it out right here with my middle finger by pushing on that tab. I would never, ever in a million years do it with this knife because there's definitely more like resistance on the lock, on the triad lock here. When you go to break through that resistance, there's definitely a lot more than other Cold Steels, and you don't want to get it in a situation where you're like, you do like this number and your finger comes here and then the blade comes back down on you. That would suck. So do not try middle finger flicking this knife. Definitely just a slow roller with that thumb tab, and it works okay. And that's, like I said, pretty good, nothing special, but typical Cold Steel action. At the end of the day, what this is just your typical big Cold Steel knife. If you like Cold Steel knives, this is definitely not for everybody. It's for those type of people that like the bigger, more kind of outlandish knives that border more tactical and self-defense than EDC. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I like this too. That's why I have it on the channel. But it is what it is. And I think it's a pretty unique offering. As it is, just like this, I do like it. What I would really like to see is I would like to see Cold Steel make an EDC-able version of this, kind of like the size of like the Recon 1. Like, that would be sweet, like a 3.5-inch blade. I think that would sell very, very well. And I think a lot of people would really enjoy it because it's still a nice blade shape that I think could be pretty darn useful for some EDC. So, yeah. That's my thoughts on it. What do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments below. And where do you think Cold Steel is going? I'm interested now that Lynn Thompson is kind of out of the picture and it's under new leadership. How are they doing with it? If you're a Cold Steel guy or gal and you have a lot of Cold Steels, let me know your thoughts on that. Really hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.